We've all been there. You're clicking around a website, getting more and more frustrated by the second, and you finally just give up. Well, that feeling, it has a name. Today, we're explaining website usability. It's really the invisible force that decides whether our time online is a breeze or a complete and utter headache. I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're just trying to buy something or find one simple piece of information, and it feels like the website is actively fighting you. That feeling, that urge to just slam the tab shut and never go back, that's a failure of usability, plain and simple. So let's dig into what makes it work and, more importantly, what makes it fail. All right, here's the game plan. First, we're going to put a formal name to that frustration. Then we'll walk through a great framework for how to think about it, and I'll share the single most important rule you need to know. We'll also unpack how usability fits in with user experience and accessibility, and finally, we'll look at the tricky balancing act required to make all of this work for everyone. Okay, so let's get right to it. It's time to put a proper definition to that feeling of wanting to throw your computer out the window. What is usability, really? So the official super technical definition comes from the International Organization for Standardization, or ISO, and they say usability is the extent to which a product can be used by specified users to achieve specified goals with effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Very precise, but also kind of dry. But don't worry, usability guru Steve Krug puts it so much better. He just boils it right down. For him, it's about making something that works so well that a totally average person can use it for what it's supposed to do without getting hopelessly frustrated. Now that is a definition I think we can all get behind. So how do we actually break this down and measure it? Well, a really fantastic way to do that is with a framework known as Whitney Questenberry's 5 E's. This gives us a perfect little checklist. So first, is it effective? Can you actually do what you came here to do? 2, is it efficient? Can you do it fast without wasting time? 3, is it easy to learn? You shouldn't need an instruction manual. 4, is it error tolerant? Does it help you avoid mistakes or easily fix them when you make one? And finally, is it engaging? Is it a pleasant enough experience that you'd actually want to come back? Now, if you take away only one single thing from this entire explainer, please make it this next concept. This is Steve Krug's first law of usability. That's it, 3 words. Don't make me think. It sounds so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. The absolute core goal of any good design is to eliminate every bit of unnecessary thought, what psychologists call cognitive load, from the person's journey. What this means in the real world is that a website should just make sense. It should be obvious. When you look at a page, you shouldn't have to stop and wonder, what does this button do? Or where do I go next? The path should feel completely natural. And this really shows you the difference. On one hand, you have that confusing experience where every single action makes you stop and think, which just builds up frustration. But on the other hand, you have a self-evident experience where everything is so clear it feels effortless. That's the goal. Okay, this brings us to something that trips a lot of people up. You've probably heard the term user experience, or UX. So how is that different from usability? Are they the same thing? The most important thing to get is that usability is just one piece of the much bigger user experience puzzle. Here's an analogy. Think of a car. It can be usable, right? The steering wheel turns the car, the pedals work. But the user experience of that car also includes how comfy the seats are, the sound of the engine, the look of the dashboard, basically how it makes you feel to drive it. UX is the whole package. And this table just lays it out perfectly. Look, usability on the left is laser focused on, is it easy to use and can you get things done? But user experience over on the right, well, it includes all of that plus so much more. Is the content actually useful? Is the whole thing enjoyable? Is it credible? And a really big one, is it accessible to everyone? And that last point, accessibility, is so unbelievably important, it really deserves its own section, because making a site easy to use is deeply, deeply connected to making it usable for people with disabilities. Yeah, these aren't two separate things that just happen to live near each other. There's this huge critical overlap. A lot of the time, when you design for one, you end up making things way better for the other. Let's look at how they help each other. At its core, accessibility is really just usability, but with a specific focus on users with disabilities. But the cool part is, the benefits flow in both directions. For instance, high contrast text that's designed for someone with low vision also makes a screen way easier for anyone to read in the bright sun. And simple, clear language that helps a user with a cognitive disability also helps literally everyone else understand the information faster. It's a win-win. So what's the simplest way to tell them apart? It really boils down to this. A usability problem like a super confusing checkout form is going to frustrate everybody. But an accessibility problem, like a picture that's missing a description for a screen reader, creates a specific barrier or roadblock for a user with a disability.
But, and this is where things get really interesting, these two goals are not always in perfect harmony. In the real world, it can be a really delicate balancing act.
Sometimes a fix that you make with the best intentions for accessibility can accidentally create a new usability headache, maybe even for the same group of people you were trying to help. The goal is never to choose one over the other, but to find that smart, elegant solution that serves everybody well. And this is a perfect classic example. Of course, you need descriptive text for an image. That's essential for accessibility. But if that description is a giant wall of text, it can be incredibly tedious and frustrating for someone using a screen reader to have to listen to the whole thing. The solution isn't to get rid of the description, it's to find that sweet spot, to make it descriptive and concise. Which really brings us to the big question, the one that ties all of this together. The ultimate goal here isn't just to make websites less annoying. It's about building a digital world that's clear, that's efficient, and that's genuinely welcoming to every single person, no matter what their ability is. So the challenge for all of us is, how can we build a web that is easy for everyone to use? That's the real work.